It's great to visit with you again as the leader of this group and talk about the second session, which is about becoming a learning community. We're really going to stretch your group a bit more, as you can see from the notes if you look through them on this one. We're going to ask them to participate a little more. And we're going to talk about that, give you a few tips here in a minute. But Steve and I wanted to let you know this is really one of the privileges of small group leadership, is to really guide people into this kind of environment. What you're going to do here is help your group wrestle with some truth in a way that's going to create a little tension, not in a horrible way, but in a way that's going to really make them think, what are we doing and how do we really learn and how do we see reality?
And it's going to cause you to actually exercise your faith muscle.
Yeah.
This is one of those times where through these exercises, through how we're going to take you through learning, it's going to be different than what you're used to. But again, I want you to let the study play itself out. If you'll follow along, you'll see how it's going to play out into helping your people learn a different style of learning.
You're going to see a little less teaching time from us on this and a little more group work, and that's intentional because it is becoming a learning community, and we really want you to be sensitive to that. And that may be a challenge again for some people, but again, just guide along. The structure of this is basically, once we get rolling into the session itself, the biggest part of the session, it's really in 3 segments. We're going to look at 3 aspects of becoming a learning community. Each of those aspects that we look at has about 5 minutes of teaching from me and Steve, and then we'll give it over to you in the group to kind of process that teaching. So we're going to give you the description of what that thing is, like engage the truth is one of them. We'll describe it, what it means. Then we're going to talk about the Bible, some Bible support for it or examples, and then really set up that group interaction for you. But here's the key thing. They're set up in sort of equal statements in your book, or equal segments of 15 minutes each. It's okay if those vary, right? Because leaders need to find a rhythm.
Yeah, rhythm is where I was just going to pick up on, is that you've got to be able to flex the study the way that fits you and your group. So if you spend a little bit more time on the Bible and a little bit less time on practice, but you pick up the practice a little bit more on another one, just let your group kind of feel their way through the material, because at the very end, we're going to bring some closure that's going to help you put a very practical aspect to this learning.
Yeah, some of you are newer leaders, and so what Steve says, a great skill to learn is to be attentive to what's going on in the group, not feel rigid like, uh-oh, we're at 15 minutes, got to stop.
Yeah.
You want to honor your start and end times. That's always important. But, check in with the group and just say, hey, it sounds like we're right in the middle of this. Do we need another 5 minutes here? They'll tell you. So be sensitive to that and be willing to engage that.
And you just brought up a point. You said it pretty quick. I want to make sure the leader gets it, though, is to be able just to ask, do we need more time on this? Because your group will tell you when they're done with it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you think you're done, but just by asking that simple question, it will engage the group, and it'll help guide you to know, okay, I will extend this, or we'll shut it down.
And you'll gain trust as a leader. They'll see that you're sensitive to where they're going. That's a great point.
And it helps them own the group.
Last thing we want to at least mention here is there's an exercise that you're unpacking really 3 aspects to. Each one of these deals with the same data, the same sort of scenario. And each time you go a little deeper with it and you unpack it a little more, and it's designed to create a little tension in the group so that there's learning. It's hard to have learning without tension. So we create it by creating this example of what happens to Christians when they're in a relationship with other Christians after 2 years of becoming a Christian. They start to lose some of their relationships with non-Christians. And we raise that issue and say, hey, here's some data out there, and why do you think this happens? And let's find that out and let's engage. But behind this discussion is a little bit of our desire to see you raise the awareness in your group that, hey, maybe we do this as believers. Maybe we drift a little bit from our desire to connect with people who don't know God.
And when the evangelism temperature of an individual kind of shies away, people can feel one of 2 things. They can feel guilty and the devil can hound them down, or they can feel passionate about it. But what we're going to help you do is, like what Bill said, is give you a way for your group to start to engage a community of people that may have slipped off the radar. And not one of us, when we become a follower of Christ, say, hey, we just don't want to engage with non-believers anymore. But it happens because of the way culture, and because we get tied more into the church, which is good, but we tend to lose the tension of staying into the visibility of where are the non-believers that are out there.
I think this session has a lot of meat in it for you. The first one had some good stuff, but now we're kind of diving in a little more because we only have these 4 sessions in this particular curriculum. We really want you to get your group in there. So enjoy it. Don't be afraid to nudge them a little bit, challenge them a little bit, and let them really wrestle with this truth. I think you'll see them grow, become more of a learning community in this particular session.